Monday Night Wars podcast.
And then the cat meowed. Hello! And welcome to another edition of the Monday Night Wars. It is March 10th, 1997, and we are live. And we are live on video.
Absolutely didn't record this ahead of time.
Not at all. You can tell the sun's out, guns out, my friend.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And we're just doing this for the Patreon, right? The videos for the Patreon. Is that what the idea is?
I think the standard episodes will still go on Spotify and stuff because that does have the capability of doing video. But the pay-per-views will still go on Patreon.
Okay. All right. Well, let's get started then. I'm Scott. Now, you actually get to put some faces to names here. I'm Scott, and with me is Joseph, the mind, body, and soul Rojas, who's having a little blurred out connection here. That's great start to the pod,
Absolutely.
video pod.
Can you hear me?
I like
is
what I'm
the
seeing.
Question. If you can at least hear me, we can make it work.
You're as clear as Crystal Pepsi, bro. It's the future.
Yeah, absolutely. Yes, it would be the future of this podcast.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, anyways, we're at Club La Vela in Panama City, Panama City Beach, Florida. And we got Tony, we got Larry, and we got Hollywood Hulk Hogan and Dennis Rodman doing a movie. Double team. I'm sure nothing will come of this, Joseph. What did you make of this?
I didn't give this a rating. I didn't think it was worth giving a rating because very quick. They're just teasing that Dennis Rodman, I guess, is now part of the NWO. Kind of makes sense. Dennis Rodman is part of the zeitgeist of the 90s. I mean, the 90s are really known for, I wanted to say pushing boundaries, but that's not fair because it's not that they're pushing boundaries. It's just controversy for the sake of controversy. You had things like Jerry Springer and all that
wedding dress, sir.
Yeah. And so the whole thing with Dennis Rodman is basically that. Is he or is he not gay? The piercings, the hair, all that stuff. So it was a very he's a controversial
the dressing in drag.
Yeah. And that's what I mean, right? It was controversy for the sake of controversy. It was him just expressing himself. There's nothing wrong with what he was doing, but people, good white Christian Americans were quite upset about Dennis Rodman on a daily basis. NBA teams were upset about him because he rebounded everything and was great defensively.
Yeah, no, that's true. That's true.
But he works. I mean, he makes sense.
He dated Carmen Electra too, didn't he? Weren't they dating at this time? I think they were dating.
Yes. He was dating Carmen Electra because this was post Madonna, right?
Did he date Madonna too?
Yeah.
My God.
I think that was the wedding dress was with Madonna.
Oh. Didn't Michael Jackson date Madonna? Everybody's dating Madonna. Have you dated Madonna?
No, I didn't have that opportunity.
No comment. But Rodman is now part of the NWO, which becomes the thing. That's kind of all we really needed to say there. And then we can move into our next match. Well, first of all, I guess we got to talk about the set, right?
Yes,
this
absolutely.
is a great night. This is a great night for sets. We love the sets on both episodes. Not necessarily a great night for wrestling, but a great night for sets. Joseph, tell me about this set.
The set. So this is Club La Vela in where are we? Panama? Yeah, that's right, because you did the whole song. Yeah, in Panama. It's one of the coolest.
I thought you were going to have to do it again. I thought you were going to do it again. Where are we? And I was like, you know where we are, sir.
It is one of the coolest Nitro sets that they've ever had. I think AEW did this early on in their tenure. I'm pretty sure I remember them going to this set too, which I thought was a great callback. One of the coolest sets. No, you're not going to sell a bunch of tickets for it. It's just not a big enough venue for that. But as far as aesthetically, it's very pleasing. And the ramp is essentially a series of scaffoldings over pools, which I think is a great look. And it's just fun. It's just a very cool place to be at.
So much fun that our first match is Jeff Jarrett and Steve Mongo McMichael versus High Voltage. 4 minutes, 45 seconds.
I won't spend long on this. It's a simple match that sees Mongo win with a Tombstone Pile Driver. Gets a C.
At least they didn't hit each other with the Halliburton, which has been every match they've had for the past couple of weeks, where one of them hits the other one with the Halliburton. So we got that. But after that, we got Mean Gene. You know, I should, since we're on video, I should do Mean Gene.
Oh, by the way, you mentioned that it's spring break. I can't believe I didn't think about this. I'm wearing my spring training Dodger hat.
You thought of everything. And here I am. I'm wearing a Fatu shirt. Fatu, better known as probably most people, Rikishi. I'm wearing it in honor of the fact that 2K25, The Bloodline, is now available at stores everywhere. Pick your copy up today. They didn't pay us to say that.
By the way,
in fact, we paid them to say that.
It's not available in stores everywhere. It's only available if you have the pre-order early access.
Bro, there are no stores anymore. When I say stores everywhere, I just mean Steam and PlayStation Network. That's the store. Because we both bought it early because we're idiots. But the good thing is we like it. It's pretty good.
Mm-hmm. I especially love that I can't play My Rise. That's great.
And I love that I can play My Rise. Joseph has it on PlayStation. I have it on Steam. For some reason, My Rise is not working on, at least on his PlayStation. Is this a known PlayStation problem?
It's a known problem, yeah.
Yeah, it's working just fine for me. We typically hate My Rise because the stories are dumb, but so far I don't hate it. So things are looking up. I'm excited.
I'd give it an A+ or something, but I haven't played it yet, so I have no idea.
Yeah, no, you have no idea. Yeah, no, it's good though. I don't. My rating is I don't hate it, which is
good
pretty
rating
good for me.
Yeah,
it's pretty good for me. But let's get back to the show at hand because we got Mean Gene talking with Roddy Piper and his stable of men that will not actually be his stable of men. Tell me about this, Joseph.
Oh, God, I forgot about this. Okay, so Piper says when he was a kid, spring break meant the last spring and his mattress was gone. That's how I got 6 kids. Wait, so when he was a kid, he was breaking springs by making babies? Okay.
Oh,
yeah. Gene asks him what is in the game plan for this weekend's pay-per-view. I can tell you what's in our game plan for this weekend's pay-per-view. We're going to crack open a couple of cold ones, sit down and talk about WCW Uncensored 1997, which you can join us live, recorded, and in color for only $2 a month.
In your case, kind of a blurry color, but it works.
Yeah, I have no idea what's going on, but we're just going to have to roll with it. It's all right.
I'm getting a poor connection, so we could be doomed here.
Yeah, absolutely.
As soon as I make fun of you, this is my mistake for making fun of you because now I'm getting hit with poor connection, which I'm starting to feel like our video may be over before it even started. Our video podcast recordings, but we'll see. Yeah, because if you're blurry the whole time, I don't know.
At the end of the day, it'll be interesting to see how this platform works. Like, because on my screen, I'm fine. So I wonder if they're gonna take like the best of both. Like, I have no idea. Because there's been some times where we've had audio issues where you're like, hey, I couldn't hear you on that, so we had to record it or re-record it, and then it was fine when it came through. So we'll see.
When you listen to it,
yeah.
Well, because I do wonder, because I don't think I'm hosting this, right? I think they're hosting it, and so I think I'm getting beamed, and you're getting beamed, and hopefully our connections combined are good. But we'll see. This is exciting.
Back to Piper's game plan, though. Piper says that he has a lot to say about critics and says Howard Stern is afraid of him. I looked this up to see if there is a feud between the two of them, and I found nothing. In fact, Piper would regularly appear on the Howard Stern show later on, so I have really no idea what this was about. I did try to look into it. He says Howard Stern is hung like a pit bull, okay? Piper actually rambles here about critics and Rodman and calls out the WWF for saying they have no one-hit wrestlers in their pay-per-views. He says, you're right. You have no one hit in your pay-per-views. That's why everybody is watching ours. Okay. I understand. Piper not overly fond of Vince. I get it. He calls
Mhm.
them liars
Mhm.
because he beat up Goldust on pay-per-view with one hip, which is true. That's actually some truth. He says he won't take these people and walk away from them. And he was referring to is this new family, but he will, like, literally tonight. Then Flair's music hits and the Four Horsemen come out. Arn says all these guys must think a lot of you. He says they had a lot of heart, but this is a job for professionals, not amateurs. So he's just burying John Tenta at this point. Awesome. He offers to align with Piper, and Flair just reiterates Arn's points and that he wants to stand with Roddy Piper. Roddy Piper then says he will fight with the Horsemen, and last week's entire storytelling is completely ruined. I gave this an F.
Yeah.
I hated every bit of this segment.
They clearly realized that last week didn't work because it didn't. I mean, and the
Right.
crowd hated it. There was lots of booing. We kind of liked the idea of it, but the premise, but it was poorly handled. So they're just completely retconning that. Last week didn't even happen. It's over. It's all right. After that, though, we got a match. We got Prince Iakea, who I don't feel like we've seen on Nitro in a while.
No, he's been there. He's the TV champion. See, here's the problem, folks, real quick, because you're probably listening going, you guys just talked about him last week.
I remember talking about him last week. I do remember talking about him last week, but before that, I feel like he hadn't been on for a while.
Yeah, but he's been on for the last couple weeks. So one of the problems is me and Scott just caught up WWF to where we were in WCW, and now we're going back and forth. So our timelines on things are going to be insane because we're technically 6 months ahead of where we are right here. And we're going to be doing a lot of, didn't this happen? Didn't that happen? So just bear with us. We'll have to deal with it. And hopefully I take good enough notes that I can keep us on pace.
Even if that wasn't true, like even if we were just doing this, I just immediately jettison all this knowledge after we record this podcast.
That's true. He does.
Just immediately. Because I only have so much room for this.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I gotta dump it to add the new stuff in. But anyways, we got Prince Iakea versus Dave Taylor for the WCW Television Championship. A whopping 2 minutes, 48 seconds. Tell me, Joseph.
And Dave Taylor gets a picture-in-picture saying he will teach the Prince a lesson in the very fine art of professional wrestling. NWO arrive in the Hummer limo during this. Again, as we saw a few weeks ago, a member of the NWO is down mysteriously, and this time it's Mike Wall Street. Iakea reverses a scoop slam, and he gets a simple win. It's a roll-up for the victory. It's a C. Nothing crazy, nothing interesting really about this. It's fine. It's a fine TV match.
I got nothing more to say because you're absolutely right. It's whatever.
Yeah.
After that, though, we got Eddie versus Jim Powers, and we got Dean Malenko on commentary. And as we know, Dean is a talker.
Yeah, of all the people we need on commentary, it's the
tell me about this
Dean
match.
Malenko.
Tell me about this match, which is for the United States Championship, and it's 2 minutes 52 seconds.
Well, let's see. He keeps calling Eddie Guerrero a cheater, like you mentioned. He is obviously on commentary, and that he's just jealous of Dean. Then Eddie wins, and he wins with a roll up. And while doing the roll up, he kind of like pulls tights or something like that. And so they say, well, Dean Malenko's like, this is what happened. He cheated. He is a cheater. So then Gene interviews Eddie immediately, and he asks him, is it us or is it Eddie who is starting to kind of see that he has, some cheating tendencies? Eddie says that he isn't the one saying he's a new and improved wrestler, which is true. That has been Dean Malenko's shtick for the last couple weeks. He isn't punching, kicking, and choking uncharacteristically. So who is it that doesn't seem to be himself? Then Gene says, I'm going to stop you. You don't seem to be yourself. And Eddie says he's getting sick and tired of everyone saying he is changing. He's tired of Dean Malenko accusing him of his attitude. He then says he'll see Dean on Sunday at Uncensored. Look, this is really wild to me because Dean turned heel a few weeks ago. And then his whole heel turn is accusing Eddie of being a heel instead. And it's like, okay, but which is fine, by the way, because that's standard heel work, right? Like, I'm not the bad guy, you're the bad guy, right? I have no problem with that. My problem is that Gene and commentary are acting like Eddie is actually the heel in this situation, which is fucking what is going on. I was so confused by this. I gave it a C-.
Well, I think this is another where we're changing the story.
Yeah.
And now Dean's going to be the good guy and Eddie's going to be the bad guy. And so we've got to fix that somehow. And they're not doing a great job of it. After that, though, DDP versus Sergeant Craig Pitbull Pittman.
Yeah.
We've had Dave Taylor. Who I like Dave Taylor, but he's just a jobber.
Yeah.
Now. Let's just be real. Jim Powers, jobber. Sergeant Craig Pitbull Pittman, jobber. 4 minutes, 20 seconds. Tell me about the next parade of jobbers.
All right. So, look, like you said, with them being jobbers, DDP was never going to lose this match. It does seem like a decent length, which I found to be surprising. I expected this to be like 3 moves and then Diamond Cutter. It isn't, but DDP does eventually hit it and he gets the 1, 2, 3. Then Gene interviews DDP and he asks him about the impressive support he has garnered from the fans. DDP says it's just like he said last week. They know who the real deal is, which is true. That's what he said. Also, like last week, and he starts talking about the NWO when the lights and sound go out, and he continues the promo, but we hear none of it. Unfortunate technical difficulties. We go to a bunch of things like WCW Saturday Night. I don't know if you want to tell us about that, Scott.
You know, I don't even have it in my notes because these things kind of bleed together. Yeah, these things kind of bleed together, right? Because I think they're really having technical difficulties. They come back and blame the NWO, but it seems like this wasn't part of the plan.
Yeah, this had no bearing on what they were trying to do. So we go to WCW
they come back.
Night,
tell me.
Come back from that kind of commercial, and DDP redoes his promo from the start, which is honestly hilarious, but also it's not a bad promo. Then DDP asks Savage, after you laid me out, did you think I was just going to forget about you? Like you obviously forgot about my name. Savage, you will remember my name is Diamond Dallas Page, but you monkey boy are going to remember me as DDP. Bang! It's not great, and really, so the promo was fine, but really the technical difficulties throw the whole timing and pacing of it. So I'm giving it a B-. It's fine. It's one of the better things we've seen so far.
I thought it was okay. I thought that they handled the technical difficulties well because it's not outside the realm of possibility that NWO is messing with stuff. They've done it before, right? So I'm like, okay, whatever.
Right.
I think they clearly had technical difficulties, but played it off well. Up next, though, on our parade of jobbers, the clash of jobbers that this episode is, we've got Rey Mysterio Jr., not a jobber, versus Galaxy jobber. 3 minutes, 21 seconds.
Ray has a picture-in-picture and says everyone doubted him. He could be a star or mess with the big ones, but this is where the big boys play. I'm coming for your title, and when I win, Steven Regal, come and find me. He's really saying this to Prince Ike. I don't know. It's a whole weird thing. Mysterio, of course, hits the Rana, and it was over. It's a C. It's a fine match. Nothing wrong with it. But again, it's just like, you know who's going to win this match. There's really no reason for it.
Isn't it every match tonight so far for the most part? What was the first match again? Yeah, no, jobber. Okay. Anyways, after that, we got hour number 2, and Tony tells us that MTV is gonna be there in Panama City for spring break. And Scott Hall and Kevin Nash are gonna be on the program. Wow.
True.
And then it just goes off on a bunch of other stuff too. So tell me about it.
So I didn't give this a grade because it's cross promotional, but there is some interesting notes on it. So John Sensio from MTV specifically, he's there, and they're just doing the cross promotion. Hey, I think Kevin Nash and Scott Hall are going to be on this program, like you said, and all this kind of stuff. It's cool. It's fine. There's nothing wrong with it. Cross promotion's always going to happen in wrestling. I have zero problems with this. But they do introduce Miss Monday Nitro, who's Pamela Rogers. And I went, I should look this person up. And Scott, you know how we do this thing while we're watching and we go, I wonder whatever happened to them. You want to know what happened to Miss Monday Nitro?
I think you're going to tell me.
In 2005, she pleaded no contest to 4 charges of sexual battery. She started a relationship with a 13-year-old student and, like you do, had sex with them a lot, all while going through a divorce for unrelated matters. So her ex dodged a fucking bullet on that one. The relationship
Yeah.
started in 2005 and became so obvious that the small town where they lived was just like, yeah, cops, go arrest her. While in jail, she sent nude photos to the same kid and got additional years of prison time added. She got released in 2015 and then sent back to prison in 2015 for smuggling cell phones into the prison she was previously in and has yet to be released. I was going to make jokes about Gene kind of being a horn dog in this segment. Then I read that and was like, oh, he's literally the least of our worries.
Yeah, I gotta say, was not expecting that when you said, "Let me tell you about her." But I should have known.
Yeah.
I should have known.
Even the people who aren't wrestlers in the 90s are somehow
Yeah,
just
it
the
just
worst.
professional wrestling in the 90s, rough business.
Yes.
Rough business. All right, well, let's cleanse our palate with another match. And we have Lex Luger,
Mhm.
the Giant,
Uh-huh.
Rick Steiner,
I'm
Scott
loving it so
Steiner.
far.
Hell of a match on that's just one corner.
Yeah. Yeah.
In the other corner, we have
Uh-huh.
Greg Valentine.
Yep.
I mean,
Yeah.
I know
like
Greg
Rick
Valentine.
Yeah.
Jacques and Pierre,
Okay.
French
so an
Canadians.
established tag team.
Yeah. And
Uh-huh.
everybody's favorite,
Absolutely.
Roadblock.
Uh-huh.
2 minutes, 11 seconds.
Boy, I wonder
What
who's
the
going to
hell?
win this one. Team WCW wins very easily. Mean Gene interviews them and talks about the gravity of the main event this weekend. Luger calls the Horsemen cutthroats and that Roddy Piper shouldn't trust them. Makes a lot of sense. Luger's got a pretty storied past with the Horsemen. Luger says he can count on his team, though. Then Giant says they can't lose with the Masters of the Suplex, Luger with the Rack, and a walking, talking, fire-breathing Giant. Rick Steiner says they tried to put us out with that car crash, and they say he ain't right. Well, he's never been right. Then Rick Steiner stumbles all over his words, and he says, "Tell him, Scotty." When Scott Steiner is the intelligible one, that says a lot. Scott then says his brother is all right and that they're coming after Hall and Nash at Uncensored. Luger misses his cue from Gene and says, "With this crowd so loud, I didn't hear a word you said." What an excellent save, honestly. Really good job from Luger. Luger then says a victory would be sweeter than sweet because there has been a foul, repugnant smell around here for close to a year now, and it goes by the initials NWO. We're here to eradicate that smell once and for all. I mean, look, the match was nothing. The promo was kind of all over the place, but I enjoyed it, so I'm giving it a B.
And Gene does make another pervy comment, too. He says
Does he?
something about there being an inspiration out there in the audience.
Oh,
Yeah.
there you go.
I didn't remember Gene being so pervy.
Yeah. But it continues.
He's not as bad as Jerry.
No, he's not crass with it. He's just old man
No.
pervy, where you're like, oh, okay.
He
You just
just-
kind of roll your eyes.
We actually have a real match here next.
Yes. Yeah.
A real one.
Mhm.
Between two wrestlers we've heard of
Right.
and like.
Yes.
Ultimo Dragon
Uh-huh.
versus Juventud. That's for everybody out there.
We'll see how the mic picks that up, because lately what it's been doing is like halfway through that, it just thinks that's outside noise. And so then it stops and then it picks up the very end of it. It's really fucking funny to me.
Love it.
This is honestly the match of the night. I think this might be the first time we've seen this particular matchup. I can't remember, which is kind of cool. It's kind of like legend versus legend. It's a lot of high flying fun and just kind of an unknown dream match at the time. Ultimo Dragon eventually wins this fun bout with a Tiger Suplex, and I gave it a B.
Yeah. And 4 minutes, 53 seconds. Longest match of the night? Yes.
Wow.
Yes, it is. Great set.
Mhm.
Great set.
Yeah.
That's all I got to say. After that, Gene is back. This time he's with Medusa. And Medusa wants to talk, she wants to talk about the fact that she's a women's wrestler and they hired her to do women's wrestling. And We haven't seen her. Tell me about this, Joseph.
He does specifically ask her about Luna Vachon, who attacked her last week. She says she's sick and tired of women coming in saying they can kick her butt. Apparently, it's so bad that managers are even calling her out. I don't really know what she's alluding to in that. She says that ain't going to happen. 5 years ago, she was the first lady in WCW, which is true. She did used to work in WCW. And now she is the first contender for the women's championship. Also true. She will fight Hakuto Akira, whether it's in the United States or Japan. Again, that's also true. She loves fighting in Japan. She tells Luna, if you're such a big, bad player, then where are you? And that's kind of it. There's like Luna doesn't come out, nothing happens. And so I gave it a C+. It's a very succinct promo. She knows what she's talking about, but it doesn't really go anywhere. So
Well, because Luna's probably back in Japan. They paid her for that one appearance, and
yeah, we have no idea.
they won't see her again. Because they only have one women's wrestler on WCW, like full time, and that's Medusa. So there it is. But after that, we have the highlight of the night. Lee Marshall's road report.
Absolutely.
Lee is in Savannah. He's in Savannah, Georgia, and he says Nitro is going to be running concurrently with the second largest St. Patrick's Day parade in the country. It's going to be great. It's going to be fantastic. He also said the week after, they're going to be in Charleston, which apparently is near the Citadel. And the Citadel is like a military school, like a military college kind of thing.
Yeah.
And there's been some issues at the Citadel, though. The mess hall's been serving weasel on a shingle. Ooh. Doesn't sound very appetizing, does it, Joseph?
It isn't. And Bobby, by the way, is actually so impressed by this setup. He has little to say, and I gave this an A+.
Yeah, completely caught Bobby off guard. I think Bobby loves this stuff secretly.
Yeah, he
But he
pretends
can't show it on TV.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Anyways, after that, we have. Wait, did I miss something? Did I miss something? Oh yeah, I did. No, did we talk about Scotty Riggs and Chris Jericho, or did we just
we didn't
jump past?
I actually thought that I had that mistaken, so I didn't cut you off.
Yeah, no, that match happened. Whatever.
Yeah, it
Tell me
happened.
about it.
Bagwell interferes. It's what we've seen for weeks. There's nothing to it.
3 minutes, 38 seconds. Yeah, Scotty Riggs wins via DQ. And that brings us to our main event.
God,
Crowd around the TV. Yeah. Crowd around the TV, boys and girls, because you're about to watch one of the highlights in professional wrestling history. Kevin Sullivan versus Hard Body Harrison. And it's 2 minutes long. Tell me about it, Joseph.
They beat the hell out of Hard Body Harrison, eventually throw him into the pool that surrounds the ring. It's double count out. Mean Gene interviews everyone, starting with Jimmy Hart. Hart says that he feels as if he is as safe as the vault in Fort Knox. Okay. I don't remember him being unsafe, but all right. He calls Jacqueline and Kevin together too legit to quit, which is a phrase they started trying to get over last week, and they're going to keep going with it. Then Jacqueline says that she is the real deal and she can only beat any of the women. She can not only beat any of the women, but she can also beat all of the men. Then she says there's only one man she can't beat, she says, and that's Kevin Sullivan, which is true because Kevin Sullivan beats his women. Cue Scott. No allegedly from Scott. Okay.
Oh my God. He's dead, though, so he can't sue us.
Yeah.
So I don't think we need an allegedly.
Then Sullivan calls out Piper, and he says that he's the smartest man he's ever met. Okay. And then he randomly calls out the Four Horsemen and says he killed them. I don't know. I don't really know what this whole thing was about. I gave it a D. Did not like any of it.
It sucked. You mentioned the beating the hell out of each other. It ended in a double count out.
Yeah.
The match,
Yeah.
the 2 minute match. This is the main event. Yeah, I don't think you mentioned that part. So I just want people to understand that this was a 2 minute match. The main event ended in a double count out. It was purely for this promo.
Yeah.
The entire thing was for this promo, and it was stupid.
Yeah.
But we're not done yet.
Nope.
Because now we got the NWO coming out.
Uh-huh.
And they're going to be stupid too. Tell me about it, Joseph.
Bischoff and Hogan announced Dennis Rodman is a member of the NWO. I admit that the NWO and Dennis Rodman thing makes sense. So, it is what it is. They realized that when Sting joined them, they forgot to give him their colors. So they present him with a shirt that he just lets fall to the floor, which I laughed about. Kevin Nash tells the Steiners to LDW, pick up the lost damage waivers. Hall says the outsiders in 6 know they're good, but big problem. We're better. Bischoff asks Mach about DDP, but refers to him as that long-haired guy with all those tattoos. And Mach says, I'm really, 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 really sorry to get caught off in the excitement about Rodman. I forgot his name. Can you help me? The NWO can't remember, and Hogan calls him a nobody. Hogan says what he does know is that he's not the Macho Man, and unfortunately, Hogan may be right. Not knocking DDP, but he's not the Macho Man. Bischoff asks Sting if he can remember DDP's name, and Sting just stares. And then Bischoff says, whatever his name is, I guess he's looking for you. And then Mach says, wow, little bit scared, but not afraid, but still cool about the whole situation. Sweet. I don't know what that meant, but I loved it. Hogan says the NWO is tits, and next week, anything will have changed a bit. Or no, nothing will have changed a bit. I'm sorry. In general, this one is one of the better NWO segments we've had in a while, mostly because of Mach. And it does move some storylines forward, right? We do get the outsiders and their whole storyline moving forward. Mach's storyline gets moved forward. Hogan's just kind of there. Bischoff's just kind of there. Mostly it not being dominated by Hogan and Bischoff made me enjoy it a lot. So I'm giving it a B+.
But the dumb is not done.
This is wild. Before you get into this, shouldn't that have ended the show? Shouldn't it have ended the show? And then we go into this, the whole thing, which is like, why the hell is this the next thing?
Well, I think what happened last week, the Rowdy Piper stuff that happened last week, was supposed to be what happened. That was supposed to be the stable for the pay-per-view, and they realized that it was garbage. So they're just doing rewrites live on TV.
Right.
So now that the Horsemen have joined Team Piper for that match, they had a match with Harlem Heat. So now we've got to fix that. So when we come back, Gene is on the ramp with Public Enemy, because that's how you end the night, is with an interview with Public Enemy.
100%.
And they're now going to be going against Harlem Heat and Uncensored, right?
Yeah. Johnny Grunge says, who in the hell do the Horsemen think they are? He also says that if that's the help that Piper is depending on, he has a long, hard road ahead of him because the Horsemen are just a bunch of show ponies. Sadly, right now, he's kind of right about that. Grunge's whole promo is about the Horsemen instead of Harlem Heat, which is wild. Rocco Rock starts rapping, and the Harlem Heat walk out and beat them up. And this is how we end the show. Okay, I gave it a D.
I did like that Harlem Heat at least beat them up.
Yes, that's true.
I mean, at least we got that going for us.
Yeah.
But yeah, not again. Great venue. Great venue. But let's move on, because we got another great venue to talk about.
Yeah.
Not necessarily the content, but a great venue. Because we're moving to Raw. Raw is at the Centrum Center in Worcester, Massachusetts, and we have the Raw is War set. This is exciting. The Attitude Era Raw set that the big Titantron, the metal scaffolding, and love it. It's here. First night of it. Joseph and I lost our minds. We thought we had turned a corner. We thought that we were going to stick a flag in it and say, this is when the Attitude Era began, and it's smooth sailing from here. It is not. So let's get right into it. We start with Psycho Sid for an in-ring chat. Joseph, tell us about Psycho Sid before we get into these banger of matches.
So JR says that Sid has many meetings with WWF officials, that he is reluctant to join The Undertaker tonight. Sid says that everyone must think he's some kind of fool. Real quickly, just so you guys know, Undertaker and Sid are supposed to tag together, so that's why he's reluctant to be in this, because they are supposed to have their big blow-off at WrestleMania. He says he smells something fishy and believes that with Vader and Mankind and Paul Bearer, he is actually being set up given Taker's former ties to Paul Bearer. He says he will not fall for Taker's trap. Then he says Taker will become another symbol of Sid's victories. He tells Taker to stay in the cemetery where he belongs because at WrestleMania, he will place him in there for good. Taker's music hits, and he slowly walks down to the ring. Taker says, if you're scared, just say so. He says your logic makes no sense because if anything happens to Sid tonight, then he can't bring the belt home to the creatures at WrestleMania. He says, but if something happens to himself, then Sid stays champ. So instead, Taker says he will be the one to decline being their partner and tells Sid to enjoy his last few days as champ because at WrestleMania 13, Sid will rest in peace. Then Paul Bearer comes out and says that something is definitely wrong here. Sid has felt the wrath of Vader and Mankind, as has Taker. The problem is that they are both cowards and don't want to face the future WWF Tag Team Champs. Both Mankind and Vader attack the pair, and Taker and Sid fight them off before staring each other down. Now, this sounds great. The way I read it is very cleaned up, but it is a fucking mess. It is visually all over the place. They are stumbling all over their words. It is a fucking nightmare. I gave this an F.
But the venue's great.
Yes, looks fantastic.
It's great. Well, let's keep going because up next we got Rocky Maivia versus, hold on. We're on video now, so I should actually put on my peepers, which I don't have on me. So I'll put on my peepers.
Yep.
I can't see it like this. Tony Roy.
I'm glad that you wrote that down because I did not.
Yeah, and I have conflicting reports. I can't remember. Like I wrote down that this wasn't a title match, but the place where I get the card says it is. But it doesn't really matter because Rocky Maivia ain't gonna drop the title to a jobber anyway. So who cares? No. 1 minute 38 seconds.
Iron Sheik and Bob Backlund randomly say shit to Rocky Maivia. I guess Sultan will face him at WrestleMania. We didn't really know that, but we do now. Rocky wins quickly and gets attacked by Sultan and then fights him off. It's another F.
Speaking of which,
the
live event right now in 2K25 is fighting the Iron Sheik in a submission match, and it's pissing me off. Because I can't get that dude to tap because my cards suck and I'm mad. Gotcha. Anyways, let's move on.
Because does it give you hold on. Does it give you anything cool for achieving it?
There's like a card pack. It comes. One of the tiers is a card pack.
Got you. Okay.
I'm hoping I get an Iron Sheik, which I don't think that's true. I think I just get a card pack, probably that I can't even use in the real game. It's probably for my faction, but
yeah, the card packs they're for my faction, which is where you're doing that anyways. But if you get a Persona card, that's able to go into the real game as well. Yeah,
because I want all the Personas. So I'm gonna try and beat him at least once, and then get very mad when I find out that it's not what I thought it was. But speaking of something that is not what I thought it was, we have a cruiserweight match.
Yes,
but it's not. But it's not really. Yeah, heavy metal, Pentagon, Peroth. I don't know. Versus Latin Lover, Hector Garza, and Octagon. Wow.
Yeah.
And this is 8 minutes 45 seconds. Wow.
This is 8
second longest match tonight. Go ahead.
So Jerry Lawler is talking on commentary, and I guess he's talking about Paul E. because they've got their thing going on. And he says that Paul E. looks like a bloated toad frog, but Jerry Lawler looks like a honey glazed ham that's been left out in the sun. So, okay. During the match, China was in the crowd and gets escorted out. During the match, China was in the crowd and gets escorted out. This is an odd spot for this, but okay. Brian Pillman gets a picture-in-picture. He says it won't be long until he's back. Meanwhile, this match is fine, I guess, but why? I don't even know who won this match. I gave it a D.
The heavy metal Pentagon Peroth people.
Gotcha.
They won.
Gotcha.
It's such a good match that the crowd audibly chants boring. very, very
Wow.
loudly.
Right.
It's not bad, but
No,
they
the
don't
match is fine, but it's like we have no reason to
don't
be
like
invested in any of these people. Yeah.
Yeah, they do not like it. After that, WrestleMania is coming up, so we can add for it. And then we get another banger of a match where we got Ahmed Johnson versus hold on, let me put on my peepers again. I gotta stop doing this because I can't see shit. Roy Raymond. 1 minute, 59 seconds. Does it end in a Pearl River plunge, Joseph?
I think it does. I remember at Ahmed wins, Nation
Wow.
comes out. Farouk calls Ahmed and Uncle Tom again, but also says offhandedly that being from the street is when your mom dies when you're 8 and your dad leaves when you are 9. So in 2016, because I remember when we watched this, we were like, what the hell? In 2016, Ron Simmons would actually confirm this is what his childhood was like. So that really sucks. And I'm sorry that you had to go through that, Ron Simmons. Ahmed Johnson announces that Legion of
Damn.
Doom. Yeah, Jesus. Ahmed Johnson announces that Legion of Doom will join him for Chicago Street Fight. This is a weird one because I do love Legion of Doom, so I kind of love this, but I hate it. JR interviews Legion of Doom. Hawk says that they will get done with the Nation, or that when they get done with the Nation, rather, they will look like a pile of sweaty, fly-covered, raw sweat socks. What? I have no idea what that means. Animal says they are going to kick their butt. And then Ahmed says the black boys are turning white, and then does the "you're going down" chant. How did this chant ever get over? I have no idea.
But it does.
Yeah.
It does get over. The audience loves it. I don't know.
Uh-huh.
I don't know, man. I tell you, before you told me about that was really Ron Simmons' life, when I've been watching this, because Ron Simmons has his story, and then Ahmed also has a troubled youth story that he likes to tell. I was beginning to think that this was like the romantic subplot in Deadpool, where they just keep making up horrible stories.
Yeah.
Oh, you had a bed? You know?
Yeah.
'Cause I recently rewatched all 3 of the Deadpools.
Mhm.
So that's in my mind. Actually, I'm not Joseph knows I'm not a big Marvel guy, but I like the Deadpool movies. So
they're good.
So I
Yeah.
rewatched those. After that, we get an honest to God match between people I've heard of. I mean, kinda, right?
Yeah.
We got the new Blackjacks. I mean,
Yep.
we've seen them.
We've seen them and they're trying to make them something. So yeah.
So it counts. Versus the British Bulldog and Owen Hart for the WWF Tag Team Championship. 5 minutes, 39 seconds. That other match was longer than this, for the record.
Okay. JR congratulates Owen and Bulldog on their European title match, but Owen doesn't want to talk about that match that he could have won, by the way. He wants to focus on their match with the Blackjacks. Owen believes JR is trying to stir up trouble, which I thoroughly enjoyed from Owen. I just like him. I mean, hey, speaking of Owen. No, other side. There you go. Man, the audio people are gonna have no idea what we're talking about.
Yeah, that's hard to do backwards.
Yeah.
The picture is mirrored,
Yeah.
When you do your zooms, your picture is mirrored. So the direction you want to go is not necessarily the direction that it is. So, anyways, continue.
Wyndham gets on mic and he gives credit to Bulldog on the European title, but says if this was a title match, they would be the new tag team champions. Bradshaw says Owen has been leeching off Bulldog, but also has real purty lips. Okay. Vader and Mankind get a picture-in-picture, and Vader says that Bulldog and Owen aren't bad enough to beat them. Vader actually gives decent promo here, but this match had way too much talking in it. Then Taz gets a picture-in-picture, and he threatens Jerry Lawler. The Blackjacks win via DQ in what was a very weird segment where just a lot of picture-in-pictures happen. I gave this a C.
It was insane.
Yes.
How many? What was going on? I was just like, don't watch the match. There's all these other things going on. I was like, what is this? What is this? Anyways, after that, though, do we have anything after that? Am I going to our next match?
Now we're going into our next match.
Yeah, there we go. You got it. You covered everything. Oh, boy. Next up, we got Leif Cassidy versus Miguel Perez for 4 minutes and 10 seconds. What is going on tonight?
I don't know. Taz makes good on his threat and he attacks Jerry. Then Sabu comes out of nowhere and flips onto a table, completely missing them. Paulie gets a picture-in-picture and tells Vinman to constrain his
Very
comedian.
Sabu.
Yeah. Then he threatens King. Miguel Perez wins in a match you can barely pay attention to, and I gave it a D.
I like Sabu just coming out and doing what Sabu does best. Botching dangerous moves. God bless him. God bless that man. Oh, this actually brings us to something. We actually have some storyline here. We Jim Ross brings out Ken Shamrock because he's gonna tell us stuff, right, Joseph?
Yeah, he sure is. JR announces that Shamrock will be the special guest referee for the Bret Hart and Austin match. But what kind of ref will he be? Shamrock says he will be impartial. And then Austin interrupts him on the Titantron. He says, "Shut your hole, son. You can sit there and say it's an honor to be part of WrestleMania 13. You ought to consider it an honor that I don't come in there and stomp your little guts right now. I don't know what the hell Bret Hart is doing to get all these title shots, but I think it's a complete bunch of BS that he gets a title shot before WrestleMania. Now, the last thing I am is a Bret Hart fan, but I hope to hell he wins against Psycho Sid because that means the title will be on the line at WrestleMania. And you can sit out there with that stupid look on your face, and even you know that the title should be on the waist of Stone Cold Steve Austin. Bret Hart, you come to 13 with that little sharpshooter, but I ain't never given up at nothing in my life. And you think that I'm going to start at WrestleMania 13, you got another thing coming. Stone Cold Steve Austin's time has come, and you don't know what I'm coming with, son. The bottom line is, Shamrock, after I get through making Bret Hart say I quit, I might just as soon knock your lights out and sweep the ring with you." Shamrock says fighting is his life. Then he says that Austin can join him right now when Bret Hart, of all people, comes down. Bret Hart says it's nice of the WWF to finally give him a chance after 3 weeks to make some kind of comment about what's been going on. It was a great feeling to win the WWF title for a fourth time, but he had it ripped off the following night. It doesn't seem to him rather that anyone in WWF is doing too much about it. He sees the signs about him crying from fans, but he has had enough of the injustice. He says that he is finally getting a little credit. People can believe whatever they want, but he says that Psycho Sid isn't as good as him and never has been. Next week, they'll be looking at the 5-time champion. He says he feels bad for Taker because it is Austin who will get the next title shot after he wins, but he tells Austin to bring everything he's got. Then, like every other Bret Hart promo, he goes on for too long. Austin finally has heard enough, and he comes down to the ring, and we cut to commercial, and we never see the fallout of this, which is very confusing. All things considered, it is good, minus that end. I gave it an A-.
Maybe the best thing of the night, frankly, across both shows.
Yeah, on both shows, yeah.
Is his promo. Yeah, it was good. It was good. I mean, Austin obviously carries it, as he always does. But I thought Bret was pretty good in it, too.
Right.
Not as good as Ken's first promo. Ken had a really good first promo, and then he kind of his wheels fall off. But this was okay, where he's just saying, "I'm going to call it like it is."
Yeah, it's a little more matter of fact, which is what we want from Ken.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. But after that, we go right back to it, because Honky Tonk Man come out, and he's still looking for his protege, and oh boy, he might have found one in our next match, because we got Billy Gunn versus Aldo Montoya. Could you imagine if it was Aldo Montoya? 2 minutes, 49 seconds.
Look, this is a boring match, and during it, Sunny announces that she is doing gossip hotlines during Shotgun Saturday Night. Billy wins. It gets a D.
There you go.
Yeah.
Then we got a Mankind promo, but that's fun. It's one of his crazy ass promos. Tell me about it.
Mankind says he has a much better grasp of reality than people think. He realized he doesn't need urns or mommy. The WWF would like you to believe that he just crawled out of a boiler room. He spent his entire adult life waiting for this moment, and he has the scars to prove it. He tells Sid and Taker, he tells Sid and Taker that they will find out what happens when you take a bite out of the baddest apple in the tree. Then he gets cut off mid-sentence to go to commercial. So he doesn't even get to finish his promo. It was a fine promo, but he never got to finish it, so I'm giving it a D.
Yeah, every Mankind promo is good, but this one's like, okay, we're done.
Yeah.
I will say, man's got to stop pulling out the hair. This is one of my things.
Yeah.
Because Mick Foley is just an absolute professional, just
Right.
like a method actor of wrestling. This dude is just live on camera ripping out tufts of hair. He's got bald spots. He's clearly shaved, obviously, for the look, but he's just ripping out tufts of hair. And I'm like, bro, stop. I mean, it's great for the character, but I'm just like, Anyways, let's talk about the next match because we had to cut because we had to get to this next banger of a match. We couldn't let Mankind finish.
Yeah.
We've got Goldust versus Tim McNean?
I have
Tim
no idea.
McNean? A minute 39. Tell me.
Hunter Hearst Helmsley stands on the ramp to distract Goldust, and with him for the first time is China. Goldust wins rather easily against the jobber. China heads to ringside, and Goldust grabs Marlena to protect her. Helmsley attacks him from behind. Marlena jumps on China, and everyone gets separated. China throws around the refs and finally gets dragged out by Hunter. I actually thoroughly enjoyed this. Yes, the match is whatever, but it's not about the match. It's about the continuation of Hunter and Goldust storyline. I like that Marlena got physical too. Like there's only so many times you can attack her before she's going to start trying to defend her husband and stuff. I thought that was good. I gave this a B.
So I looked up this guy because I was like, maybe we know him. We don't know him. All they have on him is that he is an American professional wrestler. But the thing I found funny was the picture they have of him, I'm pretty sure is just a screenshot from this episode. That's it. That's it. After that, though, we get some real intellectual programming here.
Yes, we do.
Because we have a debate. Jerry the King Lawler versus Paul E. Dangerously, moderated by Jim Ross. I'm sure that these two will just have a interesting and respectful debate on the merits of their two views, and it won't completely collapse into a brawl and pandemonium.
Absolutely.
Right?
Absolutely. The question that is posed by JR that is up for debate is whether or not ECW should exist. JR says it's a question of whether ECW does exist due to its lack of TV presence. Paulie tells the ECW fans to hold their jeers and the Eliminators to hold their attack because they all got, kind of up in arms. Jerry rambles while Paulie hangs out. JR says your time is up, and Jerry says no. This is actually looking like a real American debate, to be honest. Paulie tells him to shut the hell up. He says that the fact that the WF puts 22,000 in an arena is not a testament to anything that Jerry Lawler has ever accomplished in his career. This is a weird one because he is technically correct in this assessment. Jerry the King Lawler is the epitome of a big fish in a little pond. In Memphis, he is a true god of wrestling, and he drew big numbers. However, outside of Memphis and part of the South, he really wasn't that guy. So there you go. Someone like Dusty Rhodes or Ric Flair could draw literally anywhere they went. I'm not sure the same can be said about Jerry. If you can find a counterpoint to that, I'd be very interested to hear it, but I looked it up and I couldn't find anything. Furthermore, though he did have an illustrious career, absolutely, his efforts had zero bearing on WWF. He was always a bit player when he finally arrived. I'm not saying he was a bit player in his career. I mean, by the time he got to the WWF, he wasn't really a big name in comparison. Sandman and Tommy Dreamer come down, and Sandman wants to cane Jerry, but Paulie says no. Jerry gets really upset, and he starts shouting. So Paul E. calmly points out that Jerry's own sons don't call themselves Lawler because they're ashamed of him. Heyman only throws haymakers. Jerry gets real upset and says that Heyman never earned Heyman never earned anything in his life. This is simply not true. Paul Heyman is certainly an acquired taste at this point in his career, but he definitely earned his spots. Jerry says he hangs out with the ECW guys because he is a little light in the loafers. This is an old term meaning someone is gay, which makes no fucking sense here. Tommy Dreamer says, if you want a war, grab everyone and I'll show you a war. Paulie says he's a piece of crap. He's not worth it. Then King calls out his friends and no one comes out. This devolves to commercial. The segment probably should have ended with Jerry getting knocked out, but it didn't. I gave it an F. It's not very good.
Yeah, it's not great. But at least we got a good match coming up here.
We do a real main
The
event.
longest, yeah, a real main event. The longest match of the night. Everything else was shorter than that 6-man tag. This though, they realized that this match deserves to be a bit longer than that one.
Right.
We've got Mankind and Vader versus Psycho Sid and The Undertaker. That's a match. 9
Yes.
minutes, 15 seconds.
So this has big stars, like you mentioned. It's heavy hitting, which I love, with clear storylines of Vader and Sid having animosity ahead. I'm sorry, Taker and Sid having animosity ahead of the WrestleMania clash, and Vader and Mankind really trying to show that they, are a cohesive unit and deserve their tag team title shot as well. Taker accidentally hits Sid at the start, and the two start fighting. Taker chokeslams Sid, then leaps over the ropes onto Vader, which will never not be impressive. Taker attacks Mankind, and Sid comes back for him and hits the powerbomb on Taker. Sid walks out as Vader pins Taker for the win. Vader gets back up and attacks Mankind and multiple people. I'm sorry, Taker gets back up and attacks I'm fucking all over the place. Taker gets back up and attacks Vader, throws him and Mankind out of the ring, and he heads up after the ramp after Sid. And the show kind of closes there. Is a weird end to the show, but I overall enjoyed most of it. Randomly, Bret Hart is asked how he got his title match, and he just says, "I guess by crying." Okay. I like what he's trying to do there. I do actually appreciate what Bret Hart's trying to do there. I gave us a B+. It is one of the more fun things on the night for both shows, but man, what a rough night.
Yeah. It's funny you said you were all over the place, like a Psycho Sid promo.
Yeah.
But anyway, I agree too that I kind of like where Bret's going with this. This is Bret's heel turn, obviously. And so, I think it's fine.
Yeah.
But here's the question.
Uh-huh.
Who won tonight? Because I legitimately don't know. And I want to hear your thoughts because great venues.
Yes.
Not so great anything else, right? Who won?
Winning is relative. I'm going to give the victory to Nitro, partly because of momentum and partly because even though nothing great happens, the show was consistently average. Like it was a lot of C matches. Okay. Everything was just basic. Raw had 2 really good moments that I thoroughly enjoyed, which is this last match, even though it's a little bit kind of all over the place. And then obviously the Stone Cold promo, like that was obviously the best thing that happened on either show. Everything else on Raw is really bad. Like that whole Paulie Jerry segment was so bad and was like painful to watch. And there's a lot that on Raw that was very painful to watch. So I'm gonna give it to Nitro because Nitro was just not dog shit.
I mean, it was warm dog shit.
Yeah.
Versus any cold dog.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. See, I don't know because as you say, I feel like Nitro did have overall maybe the better product, but I can't get over the fact that the main event was Kevin Sullivan versus Hardbody Harrison. And at least Raw had a main event, right?
Right.
So I don't know. I kind of want to give it to Raw just because that annoys me so much.
Yeah.
That annoys me so much that I kind of want to give it to Raw. So I think we're just going to split it. I'm going to give it to Raw. You're going to give it to Nitro, which is funny because I'm the WCW guy.
Yeah.
And here I am throwing it to Raw.
Yeah. I'm fine.
There comes a point where. Yeah. Well, I think there comes a point where I think you and I agree that Raw is going to start winning night after night after night after night. Much before they're supposed to, according to the ratings.
I mean, like the last 3 weeks in a row, we've given it to Raw. Like we've thoroughly enjoyed their program. This was just a bad overall show,
but it was a great venue.
Great venue.
Great venue.
Yeah,
they only had so much juice, and that the set took it all. So, I think because we saw the set, though, our standards went through the roof.
Yes,
and then it was not okay. Yeah. So, but anyways, you say Nitro, I say Raw. Folks who want to watch this, I don't know why you would. We're doing this for you, so you don't have to. But if you want to watch these two and give us your opinion, let us know what you think won, because
Yeah.
We disagree here. We're going to have to agree to disagree. But I think that does it for us. Thank you for listening. Thank you for potentially watching, because we're recording this on video right now.
Yeah.
But we've had some technical issues.
Absolutely.
So this may never see the light of day.
Right.
So on behalf of myself and Joseph, thank you for listening, maybe watching, the Monday Night Wars. Good night, guys.
Bye, guys.